Tin Hut maggots! You are watching Toon'd In, and this is Man Month! I'm Josh the Fox Mills, and in honor of the theme, I grew a full beard overnight! You are about to hear a review for a cartoon, no matter how new, no matter how old, no matter the cost, Private! You will now stand at attention and salute G.I. Joe, a real American hero! In 1964, G.I. Joe began as an action figure line developed by the Hasbro Toy Company. GI, or General Infantry, is a generic term for U.S. soldiers, and G.I. Joe dolls reflected this as each character represented an aspect of the American military. As of 2003, G.I. Joe is a part of the National Toy Hall of Fame. It had an alternate British version called Action Man, which had its own series I'll review separately at one point. In 1982, the dolls were relaunched in a smaller size, but included a complex story where they fought a terrorist organization called Cobra, and tried to prevent their attempts to take over the world. The series, G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, debuted in 1983 as a 5-part miniseries, before getting a full series in 1985. The miniseries debuted WWF professional wrestler Sergeant Slaughter as a member of the Joes. Fun fact, Sergeant Slaughter was voiced by himself. The series ran for 95 episodes and 4 seasons before finally reaching an end. Like My Little Pony in the month before, G.I. Joe was produced by both Sunbow and Marvel Productions. Did someone else just picture G.I. Joe's riding on ponies just now? G.I. Joe had a straight-to-video movie in 1987 to end the series. I consider it a final episode in my opinion. The theme song always had me ready to kick butt every time I heard it.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save the day. He never gives up, he's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe is there!
Oh yeah, that's the stuff. A public safety lesson was featured at the end of every episode. The PSAs usually had solid advice on safety, but sometimes had incomplete advice, or the plot setups didn't make any sense.
Mom know you're cooking? No, no one's home but me. She'll know now. Fire! Call the fire department!
Not from in there.
Blowtorch!
If there's a real fire in your house, your first job is to escape immediately. Fire spreads quickly. Call the fire department from outside the house.
From a neighbor's phone!
You got it. You're both safe.
Your advice really hit home. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
There were honestly a lot more Joes that were embarrassing than Cobra. For being the bad guys, Cobra had the coolest everything. The cooler toys, the cooler characters. Where the Joes would have characters like Snowjob and Shipwreck, Cobra had much cooler characters like Destro, Tomax and Zaymot, Zartan, and a woman so alluring and mysterious she is only known as the Baroness. Evil never recruited so well since Cobra Command. Sure, the Joes had a few cool characters as well. Duke, Scarlet, Lady J, Sergeant Slaughter. They even had the coolest ninja, Snake Eyes. Yeah, Storm Shadow was mostly just a ninja. There's just some weird, awesome thing about Snake Eyes, I can't put my finger on it. Cobra Commander himself had a very distinctive look and still remembered and made fun of to this day. Cobra's plans for world domination were perhaps a little crazy and dumb, but they did put the fun into international terrorism every week. What's more awesome? Controlling a group of people through brute force and fear, or weather machine and psychic powers? Like many shows in the 80s, G.I. Joe was prevented from using guns by censors, for fear of increasing gun violence. How do you do a war cartoon when you're too censored to shoot bullets? Why, turn the guns into unimitatable lasers, of course! Yes, the writers turned both the Joe's and Cobra's weapons into harmless pew-pew guns. Oh, I get it! They're nappy time rays! You get hit with them, then you lay down to go to sleep. Everyone's fine! Oh, man, I feel like I've been hit with a nappy time ray. Let's finish this off so I can go to bed.
What does the fox say?
G.I. Joe is everything to love about the 80s. The writers had to follow the toy line and write in the product placement, yet still manage a coherent storyline, and that's not easy. If you don't mind a little 80s corniness here and there, G.I. Joe still holds up and remains a solid action show worth the price of admission. And now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Next week, Man Month continues as we pump up the testosterone with a high fantasy adventure. Tune in next week for He-Man. Until then, I'm Josh the Fox Mills. Stay tuned.